I was out here with my husband that night. That's when we saw his eyes. They were red, colored blood.
Got big wings on it, about 10 feet wide.
The whole thing just uprooted my entire life.
He chases people over around the TNT area.
After she got done telling him about being chased, she draws this.
I'm not afraid of the Mothman. I'm afraid of the people who came after him.
It's not a gift. It's a bless, not a request.
She saw something.
At least 57 automobiles and trucks were spilled into the icy waters of the Ohio.
Where is this? Worried about animal.
What the fuck was that? This is supernatural.
Opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Scarefest Television, the original Happy Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2025. And we do have, tonight, we have our guest who came in for me at the last moment, Mr. Charlie Romans, who you might remember from his, let's see, okay, we got 3 gigs on you. We had a podcast, we were a presenter last year, and Charlie volunteered last year. Plus, he's taking a part in this movie that I just showed you the trailer for. And so I got lots of stuff to cover this tonight with you. 4 things for 4 segments, Charlie. That couldn't work out better.
Well, that's fortunate. Yeah. So where you want to start?
Well, we're gonna start with the Point Pleasant tapes, because while that's fresh on everybody's mind, we're gonna start there. I do want to mention, everybody, yes, we have 3 celebrity announcements coming up at the half-hour mark, and Joe Lewis, his review of Night Bitch. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. Rated MA, mature audiences, so I can say Night Bitch. I might say it a lot, actually. Anyway, so Charlie, everybody, to give you a little background here, the Point Pleasant tapes is allegedly, I haven't even logged in to look, entered in the Scarefest Film Festival. That's how far. Yeah. That's how I've been. My motivation, Charlie, has been because I'm spending all my time keeping warm.
Well, yeah, we're all been dealing with snowpocalypse, and now it looks like floodpocalypse and more snowpocalypse. So it's kind of like a bad house guest.
Everybody made fun of Kentucky when they built that ark up in northern Kentucky.
There you go.
Just saying.
We might have to use it.
So let's start with the elephant in the room, the Point Pleasant tapes.
Right.
Now, first of all, I don't normally invite anybody on from a movie that's in the film festival until it makes film festival. So I'm not saying you gotta. I'm not saying you gotta. Don't worry, but I'm usually pretty nice about shit like that.
I appreciate
Give me what is, okay, now looking at the trailer, this is what I took from the trailer. This is going to be a found footage type movie.
Exactly.
Okay. Based on people that went to investigate the infamous Mothman. Number one, what is your part in the movie?
Well, this is all my daughter Samantha's fault because I was sitting there looking at my phone one night and my name pops up. She tagged me on a post. Well, the independent filmmaker, Jesse Pollock, had wanted someone to play a retired police officer. So Sam just put my name in there and posted it. So I saw this and I read it and I was sure. So months went past, I'm talking to this guy. And so I end up auditioning for one part, but then he said, I want to use you on this other part. So I play in the movie a retired police officer who was actually there during the fall of the Silver Bridge and everything. And helps kind of further the story along. But the story itself, I mean, there's a young man who lost his parents on the bridge. So they ship him across country so to get him away from the trauma and everything. He grows up, becomes a famous writer. And once he gets enough steam and can persuade people to do it, so he comes back to this area and he's trying to find some answers. And my character is one of the people he comes to looking for answers. You saw in the trailer him talking to all these other people. Well, as the legend goes, they came to town looking for answers and disappeared. They were never seen again. And then years later, this found footage pops up on the internet for, a couple days, and then it suddenly vanishes. So, it's actually pretty interesting. And I've actually got to see the whole movie. And I think it's a really good movie, not counting my parts in it, because I can't really speak whether I'm, make your eyes bleed or wonderful, who knows. But I enjoyed it. It was really fun. And I'm the type of person that likes to peek behind a curtain. So I got to see a little more of how things are done. It's just like to get the found footage feel. Digital cameras won't give you that. So they were filming at least all the scenes that I was in were with what did you call them? Super 8 cameras, the old cameras that actually would have been used at the time these fellas, supposedly disappeared.
Yeah, what year was that?
It was, I think based on it, be around 1980 or something like that. They showed up.
Video cameras were in the early days in the early 80s. I remember that because we actually had one that we used at basketball games. And it was basically, if it didn't have a tripod, you didn't want to use it. And
I had
to use it on remote, you had to have a gasoline generator,
Right, yeah, and they're heavier than a toolbox. So, yeah, it took a set of arms to pack one of those things around. But of course, now we've got my cell phone laying there. It's got as good. Well, I mean, it's a Hollywood grade camera. It's even got Hollywood mode on it, I guess you could say. My producer of the podcast was showing me, "Hey, this is what your phone will do." I'm like, "Thanks, Brad. I'll probably forget that." But yeah, it was fun.
Now this kind of follow up. Kim Romans is in the chat room, and she said he plays a grouchy old man typecast. Did they get okay? I don't know if this applies to retired police officers.
Right?
Did they give you a pair of dark glasses?
No, actually.
So he didn't play a dick. Okay.
Well, see, I don't actually play him as the police officer. They come to see me after I've retired, and they interviewed me about what I saw during all of what happened. Okay,
so yeah, you're all warm and fuzzy at that point.
Yeah, you could, and grouchy, like Kim says, but I prefer to think grizzled and a little half crazed. But I got to cuss a lot and threaten people with a pitchfork, and that's always a good day. So.
You threatened me. Yeah, that's what. It's okay. Down to what's the name of that bar over Brooksville?
I forget exactly how much it made it in there, but I come walking around from behind the building the second time I see these gentlemen, and I'm carrying a pitchfork, and I've got it upright like this, and I noticed as I was doing this, the top of it was eroded or broken, rotted out, whatever you want to call it. So I come up and I'm talking to him, and I bury that in the ground, so I'm leaning on his pitchfork while I'm talking to him the second time. And it was actually pretty fun.
I'm gonna apologize a little bit to the viewers. Apparently, the internet's being a little hinky tonight. We're dropping some frames, but the entire episode will be in all of its glory in our archive, just because it records great. But it does not. Welcome to me living in the country with internet. That is,
Yes.
that is just a fact of life. That's what he said. Where was I during the audition process? I knew nothing about it, and unless I get to play a washed-up podcaster, I don't want any part of it.
Well, they didn't make me run. I didn't have to, leap over trains or anything like that. So yeah, I could pretty much do it. It wasn't bad. I just got to walk around and be grouchy and everything. So it was cool. Well within my wheelhouse.
Now I'm assuming I didn't even look at. Like I said, I have not logged in to even look. Is this a feature-length film? Is it full-length or?
It is. Yes.
Okay.
It's full-length. But and they're in. I guess you could call post-production or something like that. Distribution. That's not anything that I would be involved in.
Well, I mean, basically, yeah. Most of the films, what they do, they put them out on the film festival circuit. And then if people bitch about something, they might go back and remix it before they actually burn it to DVD. But usually the film festival version is pretty close to being, that's what you get. That's, occasionally they'll tweak it, but from my experience, they're hoping somebody sees it, falls in love, and says, hey, let me sell your movie.
Yeah, see, and that's the process from what I know. And sometimes it takes quite a while. I was in a movie a few years back called The Big Ugly. I say that I was in it, but that's kind of a glorified way of putting it. I was in the last 5 seconds of the movie. It's with Ron Perlman, Malcolm McDowell, Vinnie Jones, Bruce McGill, all gangsters and everything else. And in the last 5 seconds of the movie, you see me walk out of the weeds with a shotgun. That's my claim to fame. But it took 2 weeks to get that. And I got to see behind the scenes on that too. And I was talking to the producer and the director, and I had interviewed all these people for the newspaper, which was why I went there. And it was 2 years before I could write the story because they've got gag orders and everything else.
Yeah. See, my only claim to fame, I actually did a TV sizzle, and now you notice I'm not a TV star, went nowhere, but it was a good production company and everything. But I found it to be the most. It was one of these reality paranormal things, of course, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
I found it to be terribly, terribly unpleasant. The experience was unpleasant because of course, we didn't have a script. So basically you'd walk in a room and then they'd say, no, could you walk in the room again? Could we're moving the camera over there. We need you to do exactly the same thing you just did. Say exactly what you said. And they didn't ask us to fake anything. But yeah, but you'll notice I am not a big TV star. I'm still this is my claim to fame. Well, and Lexington News. I get to do interviews sometimes.
Yeah. See, and you look good doing it, man. I mean, really, seriously. Hey, you heard all these people during the convention. You're kind of like the face of the convention. So, I mean, honestly, you are a star. It's like, people think about Scarefest, they think about you. Yours is the face they see.
Well, what I always say is I'm famous adjacent, but also because I'm here every week talking to them, I also catch the hell. When something goes sideways, they assume that I had something to do with it. Everybody, we're at our first commercial break. We're going to come right back in a moment with Charlie Romans, and we're going to be talking about his seminar from last year, which honestly, I think we talked about it a little bit. We talked mostly about your podcast last time you were on. I want to hear about attachments, haunted places versus haunted people. We'll be right back.
Are you a fan of horror movies, books, comics, music, and collectibles? Room Org magazine is for you. Subscribe today to receive 6 or 12 print issues annually and join me, executive editor Andrea Subisati, on an ongoing journey through the horror genre of the past, present, and future. Plus, get access to unmissable special editions such as A Century of Witches, 50 Years of Gore Cinema, British horror movies, and so much more. Rue Morgue, the world's premier horror and culture and entertainment magazine since 1997. Accept no substitute.
Hey, and welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Television. We're talking tonight with Charlie Romans, longtime friend of the show. He's been a vendor at Scarefest, God knows how long. But now, okay, you presented this year. Now, this was not your first year speaking at Scarefest, was it?
No, it wasn't.
I didn't think so. Haunted places versus haunted people. Give us the Cliff Note synopsis of what you're presented, then I'll ask some questions about it.
Well, it's basically what you heard is what you get, because I juxtapose the difference between a person who's haunted and a place that is haunted, and sometimes a spirit can jump ship. Like if a spirit is haunting a particular location, it can attach to someone and follow them out. But then it seems like some people are uniquely sensitive to spiritual energy. So in fact, they are haunted, because it's as simple as this. If you're in a room with 100 people, we'll say, and 2 people in that room are the only people that can see you, hear you, interact with you at all, you are going to follow those 2 people around.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, because no one wants to be isolated. I mean, we don't want to be isolated in life, and I'm assuming we don't want to be isolated in death.
Not
now.
Not my phone.
So, and it's difficult to pin this down sometimes. For one reason, people don't want to accept the fact that they're being followed by spirits, and that spirits are attaching themselves to them.
No, okay, let me pause you there. Now, I agree your average grandmother pushing her buggy through Walmart would not want to think she picked up a hitchhiker. I agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
But now, do you think that's true with the people that are, we'll call it active in the paranormal world? People that go out and do like I used to do, stomp around dark buildings.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if they're hunting for the ghost, they're talking to them, often disrespectfully. Are those people still surprised when something says, you know what, I'm going to tag along for a while?
No, not so much, because they've gotten past, oh my God, ghosts are not real. It had to be something else. So they've gotten past that point. But the larger question to that is people that actually look for paranormal phenomena, whether it be ghosts or negative spirits, positive spirits, just random energy. Maybe they have generated and pulled those things to them by the actual act of searching for them. It doesn't all have to be ESP.
No.
You don't have to be a psychic medium to attract a ghost. Sometimes it's as simple as being there and being receptive.
Oh, I've always had early on in the paranormal field, before I would say studied whatever psychic energy I could produce. I'm not going to call myself a psychic, but I kind of learned to leverage what gifts that came with me naturally. That being said, one of the things that bugged me even before I even pursued that were people that would go into a haunted house. Of course, I was lucky I didn't hook up with a lot of the so-called ghost adventure type hunters where they, push me down the stairs, poke me with a stick, whatever.
Right, yeah.
I didn't run into a lot of that, but I did see a lot of people do something very similar, which I've seen on that show, and it was that use my energy. Speak to us, turn his light on, use my energy. And to me, that was always just the perfect invitation to say, well, thanks, I'm not hungry right now, but how about if I come home with you and we'll use it tomorrow?
Exactly, yes. And that's, there's a larger question that goes along with that, of course, too. A larger issue, rather, that it's kind of like asking a question. If I ask you a question, I have to be prepared to get the answer you give me, not the answer I want. So a lot of these people will go into these supposedly haunted locations and they say, oh, speak to us, talk to us. Can you touch me? And they want a diluted down version of it. Doesn't really scare them. They want to hear a footstep behind them. Ooh, that's scary. And then run out. And I'm not disparaging ghost hunters at all by any stretch of the imagination. But I think sometimes people ask these questions, and you're right. Saying, can you touch me is really an invitation to say, can you smack me in the side of the head and knock me downstairs? Because you don't realize that I had this discussion with a couple of different people in the field. When a ghost tries to gather together enough energy to affect the physical world, then it's kind of like trying to manipulate something with an oven mitt. you can't really do it correctly. So this entity might it just want to tap you on the shoulder. But instead of tapping you on the shoulder, what they've done is claw you down the back.
See, now I mean, I understand, and I'm kind of on that line of thinking. I don't even think that, like when you say gather, I don't think ghosts gather shit. I think the energy is either there when they go to do something or it isn't. In other words, they don't walk up and say, ooh, AAA batteries, cool. I think it just happens. In other words, and so I think when you see a ghost, when they appear, when you actually, they visually appear, I think it's an accident of nature. I really do. I don't, it's not they can flit in and out like a damned hologram, a projection screen. I think it's all just per chance, and some of them are have better energy at it, but I don't think they necessarily are better at it by practice.
Well, there's a lot to be said for that, because if when you were alive, say you could manipulate energy, it would stand to reason that you could do that when you were still dead. But the act of just passing away doesn't make you an energy generator or dampener, and possibly just the proximity of that energy that makes up a soul, a spirit, whatever you want to call it, has a negative effect on batteries and other things.
It's an EMP. It's a localized EMP. Mark my words. Someday we will discover this and prove it.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that, because it's well, honestly, batteries and light bulbs and stuff like that are not a food source. Now, on the other hand, though, I would say that if a spirit, like say, I had passed away and I'm visiting you, I'm a spirit, you have a spirit. So it is possible that you could give me energy in the same manner, like giving me a hand up, up on stage or something there at Scarefest. So that to me is more believable than from them draining energy from totally unrelated.
100% agree with that. Yeah.
Now, as far as ambient energy, like I would think if the two energies matched, that it would be great to be a ghost in a lightning storm, because there's a lot of free energy running around.
I understand. Like I said, I don't know how all that translates, but I think sometimes it's one of those, I don't know how to say it. We overcomplicate it, but at the same time, the explanation we give is an oversimplification of all of it. So that's kind of how I feel. Now, when you're talking about haunted places,
yes.
Give me your theory. What makes, first of all, how do you decide if a place is haunted?
Okay, well, one instance or two instances, I don't think it qualifies it. But you have certain areas. I mean, the obvious ones are the old creaking, moldering castles and battlefields. The theory is that all the negative energy, the trauma, and everything else soaks into the ground. In other words, is absorbed by the minerals, the soil, whatever. I look at it like a dry still. So, it's charged up. So when you walk through there, say you have enough energy to activate it, then it kicks in and it plays forward. And this is more often than not, this is your residual hauntings. Like people see all the things playing out on battlefields, for instance.
See, I do not believe in residual hauntings per se. Now, that being said, by definition, if you see a soldier on a horse, I don't necessarily believe the horse's ghost is there. But I do believe it's part of an intelligent spirit's projection, if you will. In other words, if you see a band, if you see 10 soldiers down at Gettysburg, I don't know that there's 10 ghosts in that pack. But at the same time, I hate to call it a residual haunting, because I think if done correctly, there's always an intelligent haunting behind it. And yes, everybody, Wesley believes in ghosts and makes no bones about it.
Well, the thing of it is, you're onto something. because I think different people have different definitions of what residual is. Now, it could be as simple as, say, for instance, you're walking down a city street, you're in a hurry, and somebody you don't know waves at you. You don't have time to stop and speak to them. You just move on. Doesn't mean you don't notice them. Doesn't mean you're not consciously aware of them. You just don't have time to deal with that. So I think a lot of times that happens. These, for whatever reason, whether you call it cursed or what have you, they repeat the same pattern over and you know.
Don't we all?
Well, yes, we do. Because I mean, literally, I want to paint a picture that I'm much more exciting than I am, but we all know I'm not. I get up in the morning, I get a cup of coffee, I feed my cats, and I go out on the porch and smoke a cigarette. You know, I do that every single morning religiously.
Right.
And if any of those three things aren't there, then my day goes sideways from there.
Exactly. And let's say you stick around after you pass away. So now you don't just have a few years to fill, you've got to fill 200, 300, 400 years.
Right.
You can't get Netflix. You can't work the remote. You've got to find, so that's my idea on that. You go back to doing things that make you feel alive. We'll use that terminology. Make you feel alive.
Well, see, human animals need that sense of structure. That's why so many people get involved. Their jobs become so much of their identity because it gives them structure to their lives. Not discounting the fact that it pays them money where they can buy food, pay for nice things like electricity, and all the ghost hunting shows on Netflix.
So, okay, everybody, close enough to the half-hour mark. Let's do our announcements, Charlie. Okay, everybody, first of all, this was what Brandon shared on the group tonight. I know the answers, and I do not know what these fucking clues that he comes up with. What do you... Oh, I'm sorry. You gotta click that button if I have fucked it up. Okay, now, that being said, as we give the announcements, everyone, I mean, one of them kind of makes sense, but so tell me in the chat room, if you will, what that banner has to do with the three names I'm about to announce. Now, this one actually people did guess, and I would have just said that because of today. Peter Cowper from My Bloody Valentine is coming to Scarefest weekend this year. Peter Cowper, he produced Valentine Bluffs, which I don't know anything about, but My Bloody Valentine, he played the miner. Now, next up, we're announcing Ryan Lambert of Monster Squad. Ryan Lambert of Monster Squad, a absolute cult classic, if you will. Actually, is it a cult classic? People just like it because it was a good kids movie. Good kids monster movie. What are my dogs doing downstairs? Anyway, Monster Squad's Ryan Lambert is scheduled for Scarefest 2025. And finally, returning, Bill Moseley. Bill Moseley is coming to Scarefest, and of course, Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses, Repo the Genetic Offer, Night of the Living. He's been in all kinds of stuff. Actually, I want to get him on the show, but for no other reason than it will absolutely drive my wife fucking batshit when I spend 2 weeks watching his movies. Because, yeah, he's usually in the kind of movies she's not a fan of. But Bill Moseley is signed up, all signed, sealed, and delivered for Scarefest 2025. Let's go over some dates we got coming up. Okay, this was the calendar we were given. February 15th is this weekend. Vendor registration opens for new vendors tomorrow. I don't know what time. I don't know if they set a time on that or not. But vendor registration will go live on the website, scarefestweekend.com. If you're the returning vendors already got their heads up, but so if you're a new vendor wanting to get in, tomorrow is the day to watch for that registration to open up. March 1st, our speaker and media applications become available. Speaker and media applications. That's for our seminars like Charlie did last year. And media applications where we get coverage from podcasts and mostly podcasts, TV stations, radio stations, newspapers, magazines, mostly podcasts. And then April 1st, Scarefest Ink tattoo artist applications will become available, and the staff volunteer applications will go online. And I was telling Charlie, I hope we make a little tweak to that this year because we need some volunteers, people.
Yes.
Okay. Don't forget the Central Kentucky Mystical Market is this weekend. Third weekend monthly pop-up and Taste Creek Neighborhood Fair, the Central Kentucky Mystical Market. The address is there. I can't read it, so I'm going to pull it up over here.
1165 Center Parkway, Lexington, Kentucky.
You got better eyes than I do. Yeah, 1165 Center Parkway in Lexington. Just look them up on Facebook, Central Kentucky Mystical Market, or find them. Just go to scarefestweekend.com. Click the link. They got 2 or 3 of them on there, and that'll give you the address. There it is at the top of that. 1165 Center Parkway, Lexington, Kentucky. The Central KY Mystical Market, readers, vendors, and some darn good food usually. And finally, this is the weekend that tickets go live for Nevermore, the Raven Ball. Join us for a night of mystery and intrigue as we celebrate all things Edgar Allan Poe. Put on your best gothic attire and dance the night away to hauntingly beautiful music. The event will take place on Saturday, September 6th, 2025, starting at 8 p.m. at a secret location, which is no longer secret. If you click the ticket link on the website, it says it's at the Clarion Hotel. I need to mark that out of my description. Anyway, get ready for a night of darkness and elegance that you won't soon forget. Don't miss out on this unforgettable evening. Excuse me. Tickets go on sale this weekend. MysticLunaEvents.com. You can find them on Facebook or go to their website, MysticLunaEvents.com. And we're back with Charlie Romans, and to now, volunteer applications are going online.
Yes.
How was the experience, Charlie? This was your first time actually volunteering.
It was, and I didn't know what to expect. And it was actually a really good experience. I ran around a lot. I got to talk to a lot of different people, see behind the scenes, and help things go smoothly. So anybody that's interested in doing it, I recommend it. But expect, of course, when you volunteer, I've owned businesses before, and when you're working for someone, you do what they need, not what you necessarily want to do. So be prepared to do multiple things, but it's not like anybody was cracking a whip. It's like, hey, we need to do this, and then whoever was convenient to do it.
Well, we try not to destroy our first year vendors. We usually wait till you've done 2 or 3 years before we do that part. Now, I think it's Samantha. Did she like the experience?
She enjoyed it. I think that her favorite part of it, she got to sit at the information booth towards the middle of it. Right. So she really liked that, and she could organize stuff and help people find things. Because when you're 3 or 4 hours away from home, you expected to do one thing, and suddenly you realize, that's not exactly right. I didn't prepare for that. If there's somebody there to help you, it's a huge thing. So it makes the attendees feel so much better if somebody can say, okay, calm down. This is what you need to do. If you got a problem, we'll find the solution. So I never called for anybody and they didn't answer. Never asked a question that wasn't answered. And, it was great. I enjoyed it.
The big kicker this year is, of course, now our media team, we had just under 40 people on the list. I don't know if that wasn't counting seminars, which seminars I kind of dedicate to line building. That's no big deal. But our media team, we're just like the jack of all trades. And this year, I got to figure out how to get everybody out of there Friday afternoon that come early, and Saturday morning, if I get them there, and get them out helping line building. If we attack that outside line with, let's say, half the people, 20 people, we can grease that thing where it'll slide in there like a banana peel on a rocket sled.
Well, I think it will too, because once things start flowing, it goes really fast. Okay. But talking about getting the lines and everything, stopping traffic and letting people across, I thought, he's going to get run over.
At that
Westy
point,
just
at that
holds up
point-
his hand, walks out. You're going to stop and let these people across, which pedestrians do have the right of way. They shouldn't exercise the right to be impractical and stupid, though. So,
Right.
and,
What's what for the record? I made sure they were already saw me and were already slowing down when I went out there.
exactly.
But,
Yes, I know.
But I was actually, by the time I was doing that Sunday morning, I was in so much back pain. It was like, it's not going to get any worse. Hit me, It's a lottery. It's a lottery. Another thing now, which I got to kind of put together a better plan for our team. But like, I'm thinking I'm going to have pretty much, other than streaming the panels and seminars, a lot of the videos just going to have to, other than when the show launches, I'm going to have to pull back from that a little bit, just because we've got so many other things going on. I don't know if we can dedicate the team to it. So I'm going to pull a couple of those people. I'm going to throw back on the photography team. That's where they started. Excuse me. And, but yeah, I've got to make a list of everything we've got to get done, and then make sure that I've got enough warm bodies on that team to do it, because we keep it hopping on the so-called second floor team. So now you seem excited about it. Is your daughter Samantha as excited about coming back?
She is really into vending. Of course, Braxy berries, baubles, and she makes all sorts of stuff. And I think she's going to be at Mystic Market tomorrow vending.
Okay,
and I think
cool.
She wants a vendor booth at Scarefest too this fall. So it may just be me volunteering.
Well, like I said, she went to the help desk anyway. Didn't do me any good.
No, she wasn't running up down steps, but it's really cool. Okay, like for instance, I remember watching the Hellraiser movies, and when I watched those movies and whatnot, I'm thinking, these are some horrifying movies. And then part of my volunteering, I got to escort these people back and forth. So it's pretty cool, and I find out this lady here is not actually as terrifying as she was, 20 years ago. Of course, she wasn't wearing the makeup. She might have been just as terrifying. I don't want to take away from that. But like I said, I'm the kind of person that likes to peek behind the curtain, and you get to do that. I mean, you never want to be annoying and aggravating about it, but you get to get.
I know a few of them. I know I annoy a few of them. But no, I know what you're saying. We've had that problem, which actually, a couple people I'm thinking about. It's not even over celebrities. They're just annoying people anyway. So you got to find a job that annoying works.
Some people it seems to be their default setting, but usually you can work around those people. But for the most part, like I said, you get to get a little bit behind the scenes, and you get to see how this well-oiled machine works, and realize how much work it is to make it look easy. Because nothing is ever easy as it seems.
That's what everybody still says. Everything looks great, but this is I don't want to scare off any volunteers. This is the byproduct of being behind the scenes long enough. You forget how good it looks from the other side,
right?
Because all you're thinking about is the next trash can fire that's going to happen, and preventing that or putting it out, after the fact. But then we're famous, with the exception, I'm going to put it out there again, the exception of the line building last year outside on Friday. Saturday went pretty well. But you forget how we're known for the fans having an almost seamless experience. And because, like I said, it's a dumpster fire sometimes behind the scenes, but that's my job.
Exactly. And you do forget, it's like, I grew up fixing cars. My father was a mechanic and body man. And I can barely go to a car show because I can spot buffer marks from 40 yards away on a car, and it almost ruins the experience for me since I have done that so much. No, you needed to do that. But now the rare times that I find one that doesn't have those, it makes it so much better. But you get so involved with problem solving that you're right. You don't get to take that breath. You just move to the next problem or potential problem. Sorry, I'm blinking like an owl. Some allergies going on here.
I wouldn't make I've been talking for the last month. My sinuses are, this weather going back and forth has got my sinuses just, I can hear you fine. I can half the time I can barely hear my own voice because everything inside is stopped up. So.
Well, now 2 weeks ago I sounded like Boris Karloff gargling gravel, so I know exactly what you're talking about, and that was sinuses.
Okay, now just to share a little bit with the fans, how many times did you see me throw an absolute fit? How many times did you see me absolutely go off the deep end for the weekend?
A few times, but don't know how to answer that, Wes.
Because I never really came off the deep end. I was just
the problem is you're a lot like me. You have a running stream of that's crap, that's annoying, and everything else, and it's a diffusing mechanism. You blow a little bit off as you go, so you don't just snap and grab somebody by the back of the head and smash
I actually
face
snapped.
the wall.
I think it was Saturday. No, Friday morning or Friday before the con. I snapped. I was that close to throwing a chair across the room. So yeah, matter of fact, I might have done it. I'm not sure. So anyway, okay, let's go ahead. Let's get Bonehead Weekly in here with his review of Night Bitch.
Hey, Scarefest fans, this is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly with a movie I highly recommend that's on Hulu. But the problem is they call it a horror film. Some sites call it a horror comedy. It is funny, but I don't really think it's any one of those things. The movie is 2024's Night Bitch. Now, when I say that, I'm not referring to the lovely phrase you tell your angelic partner every night before you go to bed. Night Bitch. Anyway, what I'm referring to is the title of the movie, and it's based on a book by Rachel Yoder that I've never read. And what it is Amy Adams plays a mom who has a husband played by Scoot McNairy, who travels a lot. And by the way, Scoot plays the pansy husband in at least a half a dozen movies now, who travels a lot for work. And Amy Adams has given up her life as an artist to become a mother. I understood this movie so much. I think I've seen a lot of moms go through this. I can't empathize completely or sympathize, but I kind of get it. So I really recommend this movie. And she starts to develop through changes. And, she's a stay-at-home mom who's given up her career. Her husband goes off and does his thing, and he's getting to be a professional while she's at home, and all the changes that go through with parenthood. As a dad, I went through a ton of changes. There were so many things that had to change for me, and I had to give up. But how do you keep the balance between being a parent and being your own human being? And it's tough. I really like this movie. Sometimes the message, it beats you over the head a little bit, but basically she starts to go through changes. She thinks she's turning into a wolf. Is she turning into a wolf? Is she not turning into a wolf? Even if you can't guess it, there's several just really big, this is the answer to that question. There's not a lot of blood, guts, and transformations. That's what it's about. It's about a woman struggling with her identity. And I love this movie. I really liked it a lot. I've witnessed it personally, and it has a lot to say. So if you're a mom, if you're expecting, if you're thinking about being a mom, I definitely think you should watch Night Bitch on Hulu. It's an hour and 30-some minutes. It's labeled a horror comedy, and there is a little bit of but what it really is about identity and figuring out who you are. And are you still the same person after you become a parent, especially a mom, when so much is expected of you, when society expects so much, when everyone expects so much? I will say, as a dad, the bar for moms, the bar for dads is a low. It's like, oh, he showed up. He took Timmy to the game. Blah, 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 blah. What a good dad. And I always think that's really low. There's even There's even a line in here that drives me crazy that they comment on and it's the dad who says it. Well, I guess I'll babysit tonight. No, it's your kid. I hate it when people say, you got your kid, you're babysitting your kid. No, he's my damn son. That's not babysitting. I'm his dad. The bar is low for dads. The bar is really high for moms when it comes to societal expectations. Watch Night Bitch. I really enjoyed it. There's a couple of criticisms I could throw at it, but it spoke to something that I completely understand, and I think a lot of you all would understand too. So check out Night Bitch on Hulu. This has been Joe Lewis. Tough being a parent, but it's the best job you'll ever have.
That probably was his funniest joke ever. Night Bitch. That was probably the funniest thing I've ever heard that man say. Everybody, we're back with Charlie Romans closing out Scarefest TV for this week. We've done all the good stuff. Now, let's go ahead and spend a few minutes here plugging your podcast. I take it you're still doing that.
Absolutely, yes. And I'm in the process of putting the first book together that's based on the podcast. The first one's going to be about spirits. And I want to show how spirituality encounters are relatable based on how they're reported. Because, well, for one thing, one of the things I noticed that people who have encounters, and this does run the gamut, whether it's supernatural, cryptids, or anything like that, the first thought that goes through their head isn't, oh my God, I saw this. It's like people think I'm going to be crazy. And I think we need to normalize that a little bit because I've said this before, probably said it 100 times. You could tell me you had lunch yesterday with Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. I wasn't there. So it's not my story, it's your story. And the way that you qualify this is whether or not that I think you are telling me the truth as you know it. So it should never be a question of ostracizing people. Well, let's talk about this. Like you had said before, we don't really know what's going on, but maybe if we share all the encounters and examine them closely, that we can have a better understanding of what's happening. And I hope to have this all finished and available at Scarefest. So.
Okay, and that'll be hopefully what Sam's doing. Now, your podcast, we'll give a little bit about that. Okay, that is Shadows of Legend.
Yes.
And it's one of those places I say has a fortunate web address, shadowsoflegend.com.
Yes.
Just poof.
And but now if you search this, you have to be careful because you have to put Shadows of Legend, the podcast. Because if you don't, it pulls up that really cool video game, Shadow Legends, and which is definitely not connected with me, but it is a good video game. So what I like to do is just share people's stories. It's as I said before, I'm not here to prove whether you're telling me the truth or not. I'm here to share your story. And I go at each interview like I would a regular news story because I've been a journalist for decades now. It's okay, Mr. Forsyth, tell me what happened. And I may ask some clarifying questions. And I may ask questions that seem obvious, but it's for people who may not be familiar with the field. But really, honestly, it's not necessarily my show. It's all the guests' show.
See, I used to be like that. Now it's my damn show. I've had enough of it.
Okay, let's just cut to the chase. Yeah, it is my show because I like to run it.
My job is to make the guests look good. Just to be fair.
So, but the job is, and it's all about dialogue. Okay, we're dealing with, and it runs again, like I said, it runs the gamut. We're dealing with an area that has no hard rules. It's not like you can look it up like you would basic mathematics. So you research paranormal. Your neighbor researches paranormal. And somebody in a different city researches paranormal. You are all researching unknown quantities, and you're trying to qualify that. So you need to bring all this stuff together, put the information together, and hopefully look through it with a clear eye and an objective eye. You can go even in a way, it's almost worse if you're ready to believe anything that makes a noise at night is a ghost. But that's almost as bad as believing that nothing's a ghost. So it's all about observing everything, gathering as much information as you can, and then make a decision. Now, theoretically, I mean, obviously, if you saw a ghost, it's no longer a question of whether or not it's a ghost. You saw something. So to you, it's 100% provable. You had the experience. If I didn't have that experience, I'm coming into it cold with no information. Why would it be reasonable or acceptable for me to say, oh, hey, this is the crazy guy that said he saw a ghost? I wasn't there. I don't have any information.
A lot of people say that, Charlie.
Well, yes, they do. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, they're kind of loopy. Must have been smoking something, really potent.
Now, I've not heard too many people go to that extreme. There are some out there. Don't get me wrong. But then again, there are people on the paranormal side that are loopy that you don't even expect to be loopy. When I first got into the paranormal, I encountered this person, and what he did, he went around taking really shitty photographs of cemeteries, showing us all the ghosts and everything. This was all for him. This was the only way to do it. And when we talk about going to houses and having our meters and doing this, well, you don't, ain't how you get a. And I'm like, and the guy did not believe anything except shitty photographs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had this discussion with my producer. He said, you ever notice how a lot of the information is picked up on the cheap recorders? And he was talking about bleed and everything else and how he spent tens of thousands of dollars to prevent that. But even at that, he wasn't saying that it wasn't real. Really, I mean, it depends. At the end of the day, it depends on what you want to believe. Mm-hmm. And I always say there's basically three camps. There's the camp that believes everything's a ghost. No matter if you say it's paranormal, it is paranormal. Then there's the group that says, yeah, I don't care if Abraham Lincoln walked into my living room and said, hey, how's it going this evening? No, I'm not going to believe it. It's just, kind of like Scrooge, you're a bit of an undercooked potato or a blot of mustard. I'm deluded. It's the group in the middle that think, I'm kind of interested. I think it's possible, but I don't have any evidence that it's possible. Those are the people that can be swayed. So really, it's a conversation, and it's gathering proof together. I don't agree 100% with the method of hunting ghosts that involves your more esoteric means, we'll say. And I don't completely agree with all the tech that they use, because
I don't like using tech that I can't explain.
Well, see, and that's the thing too. It's when you lean too hard on the tool, it's like, okay, I love people that use the scientific method, but science isn't reality. Science is a tool to explain reality.
Well, that, and also now this is I mean this is not a new phenomenon. I see these teams go out, paranormal teams or paranormal investigators go out and they say, we use science. And no, you use technology.
Exactly.
There's a big difference between using technology and actually using science. I changed my TV channel with technology.
Yes.
That is not the same as using science to change my TV channel. Right. I push a button, something happens, I'm happy. So.
Exactly. And that's really all most people need to know about how it operates. But people need to realize, yes, your science can explain a lot. And I just say your science is a generic term. It's not like I'm anti-science. But reality, the world moves through time, space, totally independent of whether or not you understand what the heck's going on.
True.
So your ability to understand does not necessarily affect what is. You just got to develop a better understanding.
And that is the secret to success. My success at Scarefest. Right there. You just said it. I don't really know what's going on, but I try to understand.
Well, you ride the wave pretty well, though, I have to say.
So, everybody, this has been Scarefest TV. I hope you enjoyed it tonight, our visit with Charles Romans, and I hope you enjoyed our celebrity announcements. And now, next week, I actually have a guest. I have somebody scheduled that asked to come on the show. Yes, and it's a celebrity and everything. I've reached out one entire week ahead to get the calendar going. No, it's gonna be hard to schedule in March. We've got Lexington Comic and Toy Con.
Yes.
Now I can do a show the weekend of Bowling Green, Bet City. Yeah, but
apparently I can't keep my mouth shut because I'll be talking at Lexington too about heroes, rogues, and villains, how pop culture affects us.
Well, I could have brought that up. Everybody, this has been Scarefest TV. See you next week.